Ever walk away from a conversation thinking, why didn't I speak up? Maybe it's from stress, self-doubt, old habits. Staying silent doesn't work. Exploding doesn't work either. There's a better way. Don't avoid tough conversations. Enter them with clarity and courage. I'm Joyce Weiss, communication coach and author. I help thoughtful, capable professionals find the courage to use their voice.
There's a stronger way than silence or the fight. You don't lose your heart just to stand your ground right. With respect in your voice, resolve in your stride. You don't fear the moment you step inside. Speak your truth. Let courage serve. It's time to kick conflict to the curb.
Go from listening to your inner Joyce to recognizing and acting on your liberated inner voice. Join me, and together we'll kick conflict to the curb.
Well, hello, and welcome to Kick Conflict to the Curb. I love bringing you exclusive conversations with some of the brightest minds in the area of conflict resolution and communication. I'm your host, Joyce Weiss, communication coach, and I work with professionals who want to speak with confidence and courage when staying silent no longer works. Have you ever experienced this at your dinner table? You're stuffed and someone says, "Oh, just take a little bite. I made it just for you." And you smile and you take that little bite. It's not about food, it's about conflict. Why is it so hard for some of us to say, "No thanks, I'm full," when somebody pushes food right at us when we are stuffed? Well, today we're uncovering the surprising connection between food pressure, people pleasing, and finding your voice. And I'm excited to introduce our guest today, who's going to be pulling back the curtain and sharing how your voice doesn't just belong in the boardroom, it belongs at the dinner table too. Shalini Patel is a nutrition coach who helps busy professionals maintain healthy eating habits without the overwhelm. Unlike cookie cutter programs, she creates personalized meal planning systems that adapt to chaotic schedules, work travel, and real life demands. Her approach focuses on reducing the mental load around food decisions while building consistency and progression towards health goals, not forcing life to be consistent. Here's a fun fact about Shalini. She's a nutrition coach who hates cooking. Welcome to the show, Shalini Patel.
Okay, I love the fact that you plugged in there that I hate cooking, because it is absolutely 100% true and gets truer every day.
You know, we could just talk about that one fun fact the entire show. It's just, it's like the psychiatrist, sorry if you're watching, who doesn't necessarily have a family that, is as good as some of his patients. So yeah, it goes. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. And I need to say something to the viewers now, that maybe you don't have an issue saying, "No, thank you, I'm full" at the dinner table. The question for today for you is, where else in your life are you eating it instead of speaking it? That is so important, because we're not just going to be talking about food, are we, today?
No,
Shalini?
definitely not. It's definitely not. I think there's so many more deeper reasons on why we do the things that we do for others.
Can't wait to get into this. So let's start with you, a backstory. Was there a turning point when staying silent about food or health just stopped working for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one great question. I There's been a lot of different turning points, and one is really specific that's in my mind. When it was when I was really focusing on losing weight. And I was focusing on a nutrition plan and being very strict with it. And I was on a walk with my husband, and we were going out of town to visit some family. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to bring my food with me." And he goes, "Well, is it really that big of a deal if you
Mm,
have just like the food that's there?" And I said, "Oh, no. Honestly, it won't derail me with my weight or my goals that I have for myself. But what I fear is that if I do, then I'm not using the opportunity to reset my relationship with these people in our lives. Like I need if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it, and it's not about convincing me one way or another." So I think it was in that moment I realized it was not about the food actually at all.
and how did he deal with that once
Oh,
you explained it in such a I mean, were you really that calm when you explained
yeah.
it?
Yes,
Melanie,
because
come on, let's talk.
absolutely. So the funny thing about it, because he was asking in such a genuine way of like, "Oh, do you really think like genuinely, do you think that it's going to derail you if you eat off the plan for the 2 days that we'll be out of town?" And it made me think about it, and I was like, "Truly, no, it's not going to derail my nutrition. Absolutely not." But because he was asking in such a real inquisitive way,
Mhm,
it kept my guard down. However, I have been in many situations where the questions are not based on
mhm.
curiosity, and my guard's up and you only get what I let of you in.
Well, that's such a great story, and yesterday, I received a private message from one of my friends who said, "Joyce, this topic is so perfect for me because I have celiac disease, and people, they mean well, they just the knowledge isn't there.
Yeah.
They say, 'Oh, come on, one little bite isn't gonna hurt.' And I'm gluten sensitive. I don't have celiac disease. When I eat gluten, I don't feel so well. And
Great.
people, because I don't get angry, I accept the fact they just don't understand, but they're always pushing that. Like there's something wrong. Can't you be flexible? And it's we as human beings we react either in a negative way, push back, or we accept the fact that people just don't get it.
Yeah.
Please tell me more about that for my friend who has celiac disease and
Yes.
also for me who's just gluten sensitive.
Right. I mean, so man, when I was pushing back on some of these things with my own boundaries around food, my first approach was honestly getting I would get mad because that's how I
Hmm.
learned to set boundaries in the first place because I was pinching myself to just say it. And so you say it so rough in the beginning until you become more comfortable saying it. But I realize that over time it softens a little bit. Like doesn't mean that your actions change, but the way that you say it becomes a little bit more confident of like, "No thanks, no," and then that eventually, if it's the same relationship that keeps on poking and pushing at it, it's gonna there's a fork in the road, really. It's either you're resetting the relationship every time and saying, "Okay, they're starting to learn that this is not the way that you treat Joyce,"
Mhm.
or you have to start making a decision and say, "Is this the person I want to keep poking at me constantly in my life?" And then if it's family, like it depends on, obviously the relationship. You can't cut everybody out of your life, but you can put up certain boundaries and not allow everybody to have the full access to you at all points.
And this is, yes, I'm reacting. I can't help myself. I love what I do. And especially when I have, guests like you,
Yeah.
Shalini. So what happens as a communication coach? You said it in a different way that I do, but it's the same message that it takes courage to break the silence, especially when we don't have the communication skills. We're not taught how to deal with conflict in school. So it's baby steps. You took baby steps from exploding, from not being as gentle, and let's say intentional, like we all get. When we take those baby steps, then you can get to the next level. It's something I call be direct with respect. It's a trademark of
Mm,
mine. And that's what you're saying.
yeah. I
So,
love that. Be direct with respect.
yes,
That's the
thank you.
goal. That's the
Well,
goal.
that's bold, and it's, yeah, anybody who is following me
Mhm.
knows that my story, which we're not gonna get into today, wasn't always this bold, communication coach. I had to learn how to break my silence too. Now,
Yeah.
the family, the grandkids love it, that my children say, "Okay, enough," and I said, "No, no, 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 this is who I am." So let's go even deeper. What does learning to say no to food pressure teach us about using our voice in other parts of our
Mm.
life?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it applies 100% of the time. I think I'm just thinking back. I was on a work trip a while ago after I really found my voice around food and my boundaries there. And it was such a different approach. But somebody had asked me, everybody checked their bags, or sorry, everybody had carried on their bags in the airport. So everybody was like, oh, I just didn't want to be, didn't want to be the one holding anybody back at the baggage claim. I just wanted to be the one easy. So everybody had carried on their bags. I checked my bag because I travel with like protein powder. I travel with like shaker bottles, whatever. Don't travel light. And I didn't feel like I needed to. And somebody was poking fun and said, oh, Shalini, you're the only one that checked a bag. And I said, yeah, at this point in my life, I don't pretend to be don't pretend to be low maintenance anymore. And so I say that because once you've actually created the boundaries around food or in any other way that you've learned to create boundaries, you take that and naturally apply it to everywhere in your life. You start to just boldly say, this is who I am, and I belong here, or I'm valuable. And if you accept it, that's one way. If you don't accept it, that's another way. And that's that your reaction to me being me does not make a difference.
Okay, we've got more in common than you think. I had people in my life that said, why do you pack so much when we go out? Because they have a duffel bag and I don't carry protein powders like you do, but I do have lots of stuff,
Yeah.
whether it's for work or a fun vacation. So I came up with this, and I want you to unpack it and even make it better.
Hmm.
I actually wrote it down because I knew that I was going to be bringing up some of these responses that I've used or helped clients. It's called verbal aikido. When someone pushes us, the person who pulls back is the strong one, not
Mm,
winner or loser. No, no,
no.
is the stronger one. Thanks for noticing. I'm comfortable in my own skin and it works for me. What do you think of that? Oh, your eyes just popped up. Can you
Absolutely.
make it better or do you like it?
Yeah. I mean, I just think about like when people are pressuring me to have a glass of wine, and I do drink occasionally, but I'm very selective on when I do. But so
Mhm.
if people are, pressuring me on, "Oh, why don't you have a glass of wine?" No, it's okay. I'm good. Like I don't need one, or I feel good, but you go ahead. Like I think that there's so many different ways that people they they want to keep you in their comfort, and it's to no
Yes.
fault of theirs. And it's good that they're offering, but not repeatedly, and not when they know it's not something that you do. Yeah.
And to even go a little further than I've got another story. What's going on today, folks? all these stories. So my husband and I stopped drinking wine
Mhm.
about 2 years ago for no reason but health. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
So when we go out, it's not friends because they know, that I've always been a health enthusiast.
Mhm.
It's the wait staff that the minute I say, "No, thanks, we're not drinkers," they go from, "Hi, I'm here to serve." Not all, of course, but so many you just see they're thinking, "I'll go, there goes a tip." And it really is fascinating.
Mm.
And you're absolutely right. We can't get mad at people if they don't have the knowledge behind our stories. We don't all have to say, what our food issues are or drinking or packing issues are. It's really none of their business unless you want to express it. But we've just got to accept the world people. And we've got to do this too, Shalini.
So
We
true.
don't know the entire story for any of the people who we're dealing with,
Yep.
correct or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes way beyond food. I mean, that's when we start, when we're road raging on the road and you don't know why somebody's rushing or cutting people off in the road. Like we make a lot of assumptions as people throughout the day. And
Mhm.
there may be many people that you are that person in there
Yes.
as being assumptive about what people need. And so it's constant self-reflection and not just it's boundary setting and then looking at, okay, I'm painting this clear boundary for myself. And then where in my life am I the person that somebody needs to create that boundary? Like, where do I need to make adjustments so I can make people feel more comfortable being themselves?
Gee, the word accountability is coming up. Huh. Accountability. For those of you watching, you know what accountability is. Otherwise, you don't watch live broadcasts like this. It's all about us. How can we change our communication?
Yeah.
There's a book that I'm always referring to on this live broadcast. It's called The Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner. It was written
Mm.
many years ago, and I learned about it when I attained my master's in guidance and counseling. When we change our steps of the dance, maybe the other person will change theirs. We can't change theirs, but when we do, it's amazing what happens. Automatically, it's like what you said, those who care about us and who we care about, many times it just happens. If they don't have the mental capability to accept responsibility, that's something else. But what do you think about that quote?
I 100%. Okay, this resonates with me because I've heard it say in such a nerdier way because I'm a math nerd through and
Ooh,
through. And so I've heard it be like A plus B equals C. And now you're changing A and you're
mhm.
expecting B to still to not be upset because you now don't
Yes.
equal C together. And so it's like it's constant and it's human nature and it's understandable. When
Mhm.
you have a person that has matched a different person in their relationship. You guys were a puzzle piece at one point and it
Yes.
did match. But now you're changing the dynamic. And it is, you have every right to change the dynamic. It is your purpose to change that dynamic. People
Yes.
evolve,
Yes.
but you cannot expect the person on the other end to not have resistance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't know the outcome.
Right.
And I'm always saying almost whether it's my newsletter called Kick Conflict to the Curb, my program, uh, it's a risk to open up our mouths and speak with confidence and
Yeah.
courage because we don't know the outcome. I always say it's worth the risk. And if it fails in your eye, then how can you make it better?
Yeah.
Now, I've
Absolutely.
I've got a okay. People pleasing is something that I find out that oh, you're smiling already. People pleasing is that I find on many of my clients, not all, but they want to work on this. They said, I just don't know how to, speak my voice because I don't want to hurt their feelings. So, and I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
You've got a relative, let's say, who takes it personal and they're offended when you say, no, thanks, I'm full. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to eat because you're full. How would you handle that people pleasing situation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just growing up in the Indian culture, this is like very food was the love language of when growing up and still is really. Um, Here's the thing, you constantly just have to remind yourself the logical part of it. Is this truly pleasing them enough for you to sacrifice your body, your health, and your goals? Because it's pleasing them enough to have you put something in your mouth. It's weird. Like it is, once you take yourself out of it and take yourself away from the relationship and the situation, and you're just looking at, does the pro outweigh the con? And does this make sense? Because there's sometimes we are going to self-sacrifice in a small way for
Oh,
the greater good of somebody else. Like if
for
this
sure.
is, if I can let somebody in traffic and it's delaying me like 2 seconds, but they're going to make it somewhere on time. Otherwise, they're going to be delayed minutes because they can't get in. I'm going to let them through. So sometimes people pleasing, you don't have to have like such extremes.
Mm-mm.
But when we look at it logically and we say, am I willing to hurt myself and hurt my goals and my path for them to feel complimented by the food that I'm eating? Can't we just verbally give them a compliment or, oh my gosh, I always love when you make this. It's just I'm so full right now, so I know I'm not going to be able to enjoy it the same as if I were eating it tomorrow.
And that's
Like,
boom. That's calm. That's confident. And as you were just describing about the people pleasing in many people's lives, not all, I have something called the gap that I use in my Weiss communication success plan. And the gap works when you just take a very short moment before you open your mouth or before you don't let somebody in because you're in a hurry and who do they
yeah,
think they are? That gap gives us a chance to decide exactly how we're going to react, just like you said. And that may be, nope, my boundaries are wait, I am going to say something. Or, this person, how often do I see him or her? I'm not necessarily going to eat, but I also don't need to say something.
yeah,
Even though silence is something I talk about, and that is my passion to make sure that we don't stay silent when it doesn't work.
yeah.
Sometimes it's a strength, and we don't have to open our mouths for everything. So
That is true.
there. So, how has learning to set boundaries around food changed your own life?
Ooh, I just strictly have become a more confident person. And I began clearly communicating what I expect out of my relationships or what I expect on how to be treated and what I want. Um, I think that came from the nutrition and being able to set food boundaries, but I think that came a lot just with life. The more I the more I grew and the more I learned about I can't if I don't set my expectations up front on how I
Mhm.
want to be treated or what I want out of people, then I don't have the right to be upset at the end of it. And I'm just setting them up for me to be resentful. So I think clearly communicating what you want up front has been the biggest game changer for me.
And you remind me, thank you for that, for this. I just keep on forgetting mind reading. We can't read what's in somebody else's mind. And we can't think, well, they should know this. They should know this is how I am. This this just happened yesterday. We have a high ceilings in our condo. So I decided to call a friend who we were besties in high school because her mom just passed away.
Oh,
And these high ceilings make my loud voice even louder. It's like I have the microphone on. So my husband turned off the TV because he said at dinner time, I couldn't watch that TV program. I mean, that we have high ceilings. And I said to him in a very calm way, how am I supposed to know that you turned off the TV? Yeah, I know that the voices, are like we're on a microphone in this house, but I was caught up. Why didn't you just tell me? He said, oops, I forgot mind reading. Yeah, how am I supposed to? It's this simple
true.
thing. It happens to all of us. So there are people watching either live now, and I notice, and we have a couple of thumbs ups and in this broadcast. What would you say to people who are listening to us, but still are not confident in learning how to speak up? What is one short phrase that you could tell them to maybe just give them the courage?
I would practice with someone safe. So, whether it's your spouse or a really close friend, one, first be very vulnerable because that's going to take courage. So, step one, be vulnerable and tell them, hey, I've realized that I sometimes am not as clear about what I want, and it's ending up where I'm resentful, but that's on me because I haven't been clear about what I expect or want out of something. So I'm going to start practicing because I trust that you'll tell me if if I flare up and have that resentment on something I didn't communicate. And just set it up where it's like you're practicing with somebody in a really safe environment, like your own marriage or your best friendship that you have.
And how you set it up, I mean, I could see why you are such a successful nutritional coach because you have a calming way about you anyway. That's why I think the two of us, clicked immediately when we met on Facebook, folks.
Yeah.
I saw her post, she saw mine. I said to myself, food, I'm not going to talk about food. I'm all about conflict and dealing with silence. When we met online and talked about the show, that's when I said, this is great. I'm bold. I'm not loud except at home because I work on it.
It's because the
And
ceilings, though.
and because I always say, "Oh, those ceilings are getting into my way." But in the other parts of my life, that's something that I work on constantly. And you have this calming effect. I know you know that because it's just who you are. And I really recommend everybody watching this to check. And I'm gonna put your contact information there. Look at her on LinkedIn because your posts, sometimes there's pictures of you with these great one-liners. They're wonderful. So
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you for taking the chance, and you reached out to me. Said, hey, I think it's a good idea for us to meet. And I said, nutritionist, what? We got to be open, folks. You never
Oh,
know. Don't put
yes.
those boundaries up before you check them out. So, second from last question. What is one thought that you'd like to share? Very short, the Reader's Digest thought that people can take away from our conversation.
I would say the short of it would be being clear with your message to other people doesn't have to be rude. Like, it's just as simple as that. It's taking care of yourself. It's honestly taking care of them because you're setting them up with the rules.
I'm trying not to overreact and be loud. This is the secret to communication, in my opinion. Number one, don't worry about silence. When you get the skills, it won't be there. Number two, when we open our mouth, even to people who we know we have issues with, do your best not to be rude. We sometimes are. We sometimes are.
Oh, 100%.
But that's when we back up and say, okay, didn't like that. But that's all about professional development. So the last question, second from last, will you please come back?
Absolutely.
Were you
Yes,
afraid?
I can't stop
Were
talking
you
to you,
afraid?
Joyce. Like,
Be-
we've
I
had
mean-
multiple conversations, and I feel like, okay, we're just recording this one. So I love speaking with you, and I love the energy you bring out of me as well.
That's ditto. Thank you very much. So you will, now that I know that, and we've got witnesses right here that are watching, you better say yes. So how can people get a hold of you and tell them how you can help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can DM me or connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Shalini Patel, CNC on LinkedIn. And I can support in any way. I think we can set up a call and chat from there. And I'd love to be able to support anyone you have.
Right. Thank you so much. And make sure you put the CNC there because I didn't. And there are a few of you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, surprisingly.
So I
Patel's
noticed.
a very common last name. So
Yes. And I just gotta, you're gonna say, oh, Joyce, what are you doing? I'm gonna end up with a story about something that just happened today when we were not in the green room. I have no green room here. It's only a blue and red room. When you told me something very important, you spoke up. Would you like to, do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes.
This is an important piece. And then I swear you're off to take on the
Okay.
day.
Yes. So Joyce was introducing me in the beginning as Shalini, and I was like, okay, I have to say it. And I still have those pinch me moments of like, say something, Shalini. And so I said something. I said, hey, just to let you know, it's actually Shalini. And we laughed about it. And I think I told her a little story about I used to be people used to call me Shalini all growing up through school, which is not like the correct pronunciation of my name, but I just allowed it and answered to it and even introduced myself as that because I felt like it was easier for people. It wasn't until my second career after college where we had another Shalini working in the building. And they said to everybody, I don't know why you're calling her Shalini. Her name's Shalini. It's pronounced Shalini. And people were like, why didn't you tell us? And in that moment, I realized it was truly because I didn't want to be disruptive, even for my own name.
Oh,
So it's
Your
remarkable
own
how much we can
name.
grow.
yes. I'm gonna not let you go yet because we have some great comments. My food, first of all, thank you, Danielle. I know you. My heart is out with you because we've gone back a long time. I have such a good history. My food journey, and I looked at this first, has been marred by food insecure childhood and a mom who deliberately buys clothing too small, and the only compliment she makes, oh, you've lost weight, as if that's the only value I have as a woman. And I know Danielle, and I know how strong she is. And many of us have that same story. And it's going back and figuring out how can we change that story. So I want to thank you. And then John Tenza, who was a guest last week or last month. Great session today. Thank you, John Tenza. You'll be back also. So thanks again. You were just a wonderful guest. We appreciate you. We'll be back.
Yes, we will. Thanks, Joyce.
Thanks. So I sure hope that you enjoyed yourself as much as I did learning from Shalini Patel. You see how approachable she is. So please reach out to her. Now, staying silent doesn't work, and exploding doesn't work either. There's a better way. Speak your truth and let courage serve. It's time to kick conflict to the curb. I help professionals go from listening to their inner Joyce to finding and using their liberated inner voice. Reach out to me anytime, Joyce at joyceweiss.com. I'm here to support you so you can speak with confidence and courage, especially when silence no longer works. So thank you, Shalini, for being a guest. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Until next time, you get what you tolerate. Is it going to be chaos or calm? It's Joyce Weiss signing off.